Honestly, there's several aspects that I like about the job. Probably the easy answer is that it's a rewarding career. Uh, Not so much, and I mentioned earlier that we've done all these plans, and they're pretty involved multi-year plans where we're going and looking at new rules on industry or things with automobiles, emission testing and whatnot. But when we've, over the course of a decade, gone through the process of projecting what air quality could look like in the future if we did certain things, and then we implemented those things, and in the years after we've implemented them, we've seen that what those projections were come to fruition, and that's a rewarding. I mean, it's just like doing a short-term forecast that you want to get it right. You don't want to miss that thunderstorm or how many inches of snow that you're going to get, but when you can make a projection, a decadal type projection, and you come very close within the range of noise, statistical noise of being correct, it's sort of rewarding. But honestly, there's the other aspect of the air quality forecasting, and we know that there are daycares and there's elderly people and people with asthma, and there's a whole group of the population, and it's not everybody, but this special group of the population that really look at that information and base decisions on what they're going to do from day to day with outdoor activities and whatnot. And we've had people call in and say, when we've missed a forecast, and say, we've had some sort of, a couple of people having asthma attacks. Was the air quality bad the other day? And of course, as through our outreach group, it gets back to us and we're like, yeah, it was bad. And it lets us know that what we're doing does have an impact on people. And it gives us an initiative to try to do it as correctly and accurately as possible. Obviously, we're not forecasting tornadoes. And so if you're with the Weather Service or with the television station, that has an immediate impact on saving people's lives. In our case, we're talking about detriment to the lungs and detriment sometimes to the heart, and we talk not so much about mortality as morbidity, and that's decreasing somebody's lifespan or their quality of life. And we see that in people that rely on the forecast, and they make very serious decisions about some of the activities that they're going to do. And so it's sort of rewarding not to miss the forecast, but to get them right and know that people are using that information and it's protecting their health. And I'm not going to lie that working for a government agency in this environmental and economic climate right now is also a nice aspect of it. I'm not immediately worried that I'm going to lose my job tomorrow. There again, I know I'm not going to get a pay raise this year or next year, maybe even the year after that. So it's stable. But the growth potential maybe is not as much as it would be in the private sector. You got to take risks, But I don't know. I love so much about my job. As I've said along the way, it's varied. One day we're doing a long-term study. The next day we're doing short-term forecasting. We've got outside plant stuff. We've actually our group of meteorologists here with the division, we maintain our own Linux cluster computer system to do our computer modeling. And so there's hardware, OS issues that we're working with, and scripting, and so it's a varied job from meteorology to engineering to IT work. Probably going back to it's a government job, and I know I'm not going to get a pay raise in the next 2 or 3 years. But it's comforting, and that's the one probably biggest stigma. Is that the salary potential is not as much as it is in the private sector. But that aside, it's not a bad salary. You can make a very good living here and be very comfortable with it. There is levels of government bureaucracy. I mean, it's if we need to buy the littlest thing, if it was a private sector type job, probably could take a company credit card, and drop down to the store and buy what I need or buy it online. And here there's a very methodical process to where you have to go through. And for example, we mentioned the profilers earlier. One of them is damaged right now. It needs repair. It needs about $35,000 in repair. And given the current economic climate of the state, it probably won't happen in the short term. It may not happen for a year or more. And I'd very much like to have that operational tomorrow, but that's just one of the aspects. And you'd have that with the federal government, the state government. You'd have that with the local government. That's the ebbs and flow of the tax money. But maybe a negative. It depends on somebody's personality. Some of these decadal projects I talked about, there's not the short-term gratification of the job being complete. because often is the case that the federal government will change the air quality standards midstream before we've even reached the goal that we set forth on the earlier plan. And so we may have to start over on a whole new planning process before we even achieve the goals that we were showing we wanted to achieve to try to achieve another goal. And so for some people that need closure every day, I could see that as a negative. I don't have as much of a problem with it because you measure your life based on the small successes, and you feel good when you reach those long successes. But I could see where some people might look at that and that just not suit their personality as much. But overall, there's I can't think of any significant negatives.